Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Big Bill coming to you from YouTube Model Builders live show tonight. We got so much in store for tonight. We're into the Locomotive Shop with Joe Desmond for Wednesday, March 28, 2018 at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Central Time. And we're with Joe Desmond from Central New Jersey, Conrail in N-Scale, and tonight's show is going to be on his Atlas GP40-2. We're going to be installing an ECU lock sound decoder, and then detailing it and weathering it. But before we do that, we got some homework we got to do. First and foremost, I hope everyone's having a good evening. We're open to the Q&A, so if you guys want to start getting in there, that'd be greatly appreciated. But also just want to touch base and let you guys know that tomorrow night we got a trifecta this past week, triple play basically. Yesterday we had the tree presentation by Phil Weinman and Andrew. I'm sorry I wasn't able to make it due to personal commitments with my family. I wasn't able to host that show. I do apologize to Phil and to John and to Andy for that. And tonight we have, again, Joe Desmond, Central Jersey, Conrail, and N-Scale. And tomorrow night, Thursday, the 29th, we have Johnny's Model Train Talk show. And that's at 9 p.m. Central Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then on April 4th, we go back with Chris Healy to the Adreno show, working on the electronics end. And April 10th, we have the Fine Scale show with Andy, Ralph, and Miles. And they'll be working on some things and stuff like that. And let's see, what else is in the works? Oh, yeah. Before we even get started, tomorrow, the 29th, March, Thursday, March 29th. Does anybody know what tomorrow is? No? It's opening day in baseball, boys.
Oh.
Opening day in baseball. That means the winter is officially over. Baseball is here. As a big baseball fan, I say let's play ball tomorrow. The Mets open 1-10 against Philadelphia, and then the rest of the season, the rest of the ball players and teams open up in the evening, in the afternoon. So it's baseball season starts tomorrow. So good luck to all the teams, and we'll see you again in October. But let's get to business here. Joe Desmond, how are you, Joe?
Good, Billy. How you doing, buddy?
How's everything going? We were supposed to be on last week, but due to work commitments, didn't happen.
Yeah.
Work. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's all right. It's just work's been crazy, and I didn't have time to get everything in order the way I wanted it for the show. So I thought it was best just to wait 1 week, and we are here.
That's what I like about you. You're always organized and on time and in place. Joe, before we even start, I know that you were doing an operation and I was supposed to be there, but again, family commitments. I'm telling you, it's somebody's either getting married, someone's getting divorced, or someone's dying in my family. I gotta go and do what I gotta do. But anyway, how was the operation session?
Op session went beyond my wildest dreams. I talked about it on my channel and on my Facebook page. I kind of went into the session, with just brought it down just a little bit, because I'm the kind of person, if it doesn't go exceedingly well, and I set these high standards, then I'm crushed. So I kind of lowered the standards down real low. But it just turned out phenomenal. We were halfway through the session, and we completed all of our work. And I was just kind of like, okay, everything's good. No, thanks, guys. What do you think? And I was expecting them to just give me a laundry list of things like that were wrong, and they're like, no, everything's great. I'm like, oh, okay. So what do you guys want to do now? And I called them the ringers. One of our operators, Steve. He's not a model rarer, but he likes operating, and he goes, well, let's run some more trains. I'm like, really? Okay. So that was how the session went.
How long was the op session was about what, 4 hours?
4 hours. Yes, we kept to the 4 hours, so we used the fast clock. So that gives you, if you know what fast clocks are,
Right.
that gives you a 16-hour day.
Right.
So even though we're running the law, for people who know what that is, we're exceeding our federal standards for work limits, but we went ahead and pushed it out anyway. And even though you're looking behind me and there's no scenery up and all that, I really wanted to get at least 2 op sessions in before I started scenery. I wanted to test everything, make sure everything's running right, and there wasn't any major changes that need to be made, because I'd hate to put scenery in and build buildings and then have to tear it all out. So
right,
that's why we went ahead. But you were missed, and there's a spot open for you for next session. So
absolutely looking forward to it. Absolutely looking forward to it, because it's something I want to do, because I want to do that on the South Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. So I want to learn. I'm a novice to it, and I definitely want to do it. But anyway, I'm glad that it worked out. When is the next op session? Is what, in May?
May 19th. Now, initially, I was going to getting into it. I was like, let's do it every month. But then, it's a lot of work. Getting set up for a session and having people over, and it's a strain on my wife was helping out, getting things ready and sprucing up the house and whatnot. So I don't want to do that every month. It's kind of, looking back now, I think that was one of the lessons learned. So we're going to go with the every other month rotation.
That makes sense. There's a lot of it's the prep work. It's like painting a room. You scrape it, you spackle it, you sand it, and then when you open the can of paint, that job's literally finished. So it's the same thing here. Exactly. Were there any mistakes or anything? I mean, anybody do a run through a switch, derail, or
we threw. I'm so glad I wasn't nitpicking on rules, because there were so many rules broken that day. Really? But you know what? It was the first time we got together. I was real lax, and mostly I wanted them to get comfortable with the paperwork and running the layout and stuff. And as we go, we'll ratchet it up one step each time, and I'll start nitpicking them on for this thing and that thing. But there was no major catastrophes, as the best way to put it. Nothing hit the ground, nothing broke, everything was fine. So
well, that's even better. That's even better. I'm glad that it worked out for you. And I'm glad that was a good experience, not only for yourself, but for the other operators as well.
Yeah.
And stuff. So, Joe, tonight, what are we going to be doing tonight, Joe?
So tonight, we're going to be continuing in the last 3 segments we've done together. We did the SD50 project. I'm sorry, the SD60, where we installed the Digitrax board with a Digitrax oval speaker. And then last time, when I was in Atlantic City, we did the SD60 with the ESU Loc Sound board. Now, the Loc Sound board that I used is kind of new on the in-scale market. It's the Direct Micro board. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Pardon me. But this board, I think, is groundbreaking in the in-scale world. It's really, really good. So this month, what I wanted to do is I wanted to put that board in a 4-axle unit, a GP40-2. So I wanted to test it out. I wanted to prove and show everybody, that it can be done in smaller locomotives. And actually, when you get into the video, it was actually so simple. It was the easiest sound install I had, because there was no frame mods that need to be done. It just dropped right in. So very exciting. I think you guys are going to like this one.
Okay. Very good. Very good. How long did it take you to the installation? Was it a tough one or pretty short?
No, it wasn't, Bill. It was actually fairly simple, but I actually counted my hours of work this time. It was actually 21 hours it took me from start to finish.
Really?
So from the moment I tested and till the minute I wrapped up with the final shoot, 21 hours.
That's about a 5-day work week.
Yeah, it's a 5-day work week, but I spread it out over like 3 or 4 days. So I'm very industrious on my days off. My days off, I usually work down here like for about 4 or 5 hours. So I get, I get a lot of work done.
Good. So let's get right to it then.
All right, and let's roll the videotape. let's pause it right there. Oh, there's the credit slide off. Those are my cheat sheets. Can we back up one little bit more? Okay. So the unit we're going to be doing is the EMD GP40-2. And they were manufactured from 1972 to 1986. They featured the EMD 645 E3 prime mover, which produced about 3,000 horsepower. These units, there was about 1,143 units produced. So it's a very prolific unit here of the time period. You know, a lot of road switching work. So a lot of railfan pictures and stuff of this unit working hard. So I think it's a very good representation. Conrail specific. Conrail specific details. Actually, Conrail purchased 129 new after 1976. And they received 5, which the Reading had already had, and they just moved them over into the series. So Conrail had, doing the math real quick, is 134 units. So a pretty big part of their roster. Okay, go ahead. So as with all of our projects, I want to get in here and test it. This was a brand new out of the box Atlas unit, never been touched. Put it on the test track and ran it. It ran really well, had no binding, no squealing, no issues. The headlights worked. So it was a good candidate for this project. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get in here. We're going to start disassembling the unit. We will take the shell off and get into the internals.
Once again, storing the parts in your Chinese containers?
Actually, no, I ran out of Chinese food containers. I'm just using the jewel case on this one. I got so many projects that they're all backed up.
Time to have a party.
Yeah, it's time to get some Chinese food. So I'm going to get in here, loosen these screws up on this chassis and split the frame. And we'll drop the trucks out and we'll pull that light board out. Also, we're going to get that light shield out of the way and pull the fuel tank off. Now with this unit, because it's a newer Atlas unit, I did not mess with the wheel sets. I went with the standard wheel sets that came from Atlas because roughly, I don't know time frame, but I'm going to say, you know, after 2005-ish or so, they started making these lower profile wheels on their locomotives. So there's no real need to put a low profile set on them. You know, in the past, the reason I've been doing that is because with the 6-axle units and the older Atlas stuff, running with the Code 55, the low profile wheels just run a lot better. But this unit already had a good set of wheels on it, so I didn't even mess with that. So what I got to do here is I'm popping loose the clips on the motor frame so we can get enough play to get that old light board out of the way.
Just as you're doing that, Bob of Bob's and Scale Man Cave, 4 days for a decoder install. Well, it was over time of
a couple hours each day.
A couple hours a day, so it was 21 hours total. So when you divide that, you know.
And I'm not. Don't forget, I'm not just doing decoder install. I'm doing complete weathering and detail work and all that. So
it was all a bunch of that. So you know, 4, 8, 12. I'm going 4 hours a day. He's doing it maybe once or every chance he can get down there. So that's one. Nathan Delay, just I'm curious, how do you get on the YouTube Model Builders Railroad Builders? Because I like showing something for the show. Well, Nathan, we put our email, both John and myself put our email, so please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to speak with you and work something up. If you have some idea for a show, it'd be great. So what are we doing here, Joe?
Now, right now, we're disassembling the trucks because I want them side frames so I can put them in the spray booth. So I'm just pulling them apart right now and making sure I get all the little pieces, parts. The outside of those trucks, they have those brass pickups, so they usually fall off. So I just make sure I grab those and put them in there so they don't get lost.
Right.
And the second truck, I'm popping it out. These were a little tight. Took me a little time to get them loose. So there we go. Our locomotive is disassembled for as much as we need it. And now we're going to go into our base coat weathering. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our trucks and fuel tank. We're going to go over to our spray booth. This time I opted for just with these tanks and trucks, I wanted it to be a little cleaner than the last couple. I know last couple we made them real grimy. So I decided to just go a straight coat of grimy black. Of course, I thinned it down. It's AccuFlex Grimy Black, thinned down with about 4 or 5 drops of 70% isopropyl alcohol. And the isopropyl alcohol just helps the paint flow a little better and also gives it a little translucent, makes it a little translucent. It's not, so when you're shooting it out of your gun, it's not coming out so you're getting a full opaque layer. So that's kind of what the alcohol is doing. It's two reasons to do that. So I'm just using my tool, my bamboo skewers, and spraying the truck, making sure to move it around because there's lots of little details and crevices you want to make sure you get a nice spray into. You don't want any shadows. And this black plastic, the shiny black plastic, when you hit it with this grimy black, you pick up a lot more details that you don't see straight out of the box.
Right.
So I think it's very beneficial.
Now, when you do these weathering, and like you said, the last time it was a little bit, it wasn't as grimy, it was a little dirty, but it wasn't. Do you fluctuate on that for every?
Yeah. Yeah, the last two we did, I thought were a little dirty. I was looking at them. I was like, you know what? I want to keep this one a little cleaner.
Right.
So I just kind of backed off a little bit. And when we get further on down the line, you'll see I changed the color, my base coloring on the shell.
Right.
I didn't use that sand color because I was looking at all my locomotives and it seemed like we were kind of getting in a rut doing the same thing over and over. So I wanted to try something a little different.
Oh, I hate when we do that. Just hate that.
So now I'm going to get in here. I'm going to hit these grills. I'm using AccuFlex Engine Black, thinned down with some alcohol. There is no mixture ratio to this. I just do this by eye. I take a little paint palette, one of those artist palettes that's got the little cups in it.
Right.
One cup will be the black, and the other 2 cups over will be the alcohol, and then I just mix the two in the middle by the brush. And when it looks like it's flowing nice, I get in there and I flow it onto the grills. And what we're doing here is we're just giving the appearance that there's depth. A lot of guys rip out the grills, especially the HO scalers when they get highly detailed models. They'll rip these grills out and they'll get the BLMA brass grills or something to put in there. But I think this is for in scale. I'm doing a showpiece to go to the NMRA convention, so I think this is a good alternate. It's a little easier than having to rip them grills out. Right.
Can you get that those brass grills for the N scale? Do they make them?
Oh yeah. I don't know if BLMA is still producing them, but whoever, I forget who owns BLMA now, but they used to make the circular fan grills for the top, for the radiator fans and the dynamic brake fans. There is some you can find out there. I know they got like the chicken wire grates for like the F7s and the F8s, or F7s and F9s, excuse me. I never really looked into it for the GPs to see what they had.
Right. Atlas, just Bob of Man's Cave just told us Atlas.
Atlas. Thank you, Bob.
BLMA.
Me?
Okay.
Yeah, just hitting these grills still.
How do you find that doing this? Do you do this to your? Basically, this is to your own satisfaction. It's not for, again, not for anybody else, but for you. But
yeah, when I'm doing the grills, I want to make sure that I can see a little bit of the color underneath.
Right.
So, so it doesn't look like it's all black grills.
Right.
It gives the gives the appearance that there is just, you know, depth in there. So now I think right now we're getting ready to put our Sinclair antenna on. The reference pictures that I saw, the Sinclair antenna was mounted directly about center line of the cab, back towards the back wall of the cab. So that's where I'm mounting in that position. And then I'm going to go ahead and put in our cab signal box. I'm sorry, I'm stepping ahead. Right now I'm flipping it over and I'm putting the glue underneath, the underside of the shell to glue the antenna in. And now we're going to get started with our cab signal box. Just, you know, a little side note for anybody who doesn't know what cab signal boxes are. It was a Penn Central, started with the Penn C, the Penn Central, and then Conrail continued it on. It's a box that was an add-on to the unit afterwards, so that they had the cab signals displayed on the windshield, mostly for running the middle division and the northeast quarter.
That would display the signal within the operator's cab.
Yes, right. And the Conrail put their signals on that center post right in the middle of the two windows in the front windshield.
Right.
So you kind of had to look over, from the pictures I've seen, you had to look over the control stand, and it was up in that area there. So this is a big one for Ed, my buddy Ed Kapuzinski. He's a prolific in-scale Conrail guy. He hates when the handrails are not painted white, so I made sure to do this for Ed. So just using a nice artist acrylic white, titanium white, right out of the tube. I decided to do that because it's very creamy. And it's easy to get a nice layer on. If you use, with these small little handrails, if you use something that's too thin, it runs down and it takes like 4 or 5 coats. I think with this thick acrylic, it's easier for like 1 or 2 coats. And you see, I kind of goofed on that first handrail. It's a little gloppy, but at that point, once it's too gloppy, you try to take it off, you're gonna break the handrail. So I kind of just left it as is.
Sometimes if you use a wet Q-tip, you can wick it off.
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. I didn't notice until after after I let it dry. I was like, that stinks.
Don't you just hate when that? I do. I hate that. It's just like you got it, and then you see it, and you're like, oh man.
Yeah. So you can see it makes a big difference the way the unit looks. So now we're going to move into our base weathering on our shell. So this time around, like I indicated, instead of using the sand, I used a mud, Acuflex mud. And I thinned it down 5 drops of 70% isopropyl alcohol and started spraying. So you'll notice we'll get all the way around the unit, and then we get to the rear pilot steps, and all of a sudden you'll notice I come back, and my spray pattern's different. So this is a lesson learned for you out there. If you go ahead and start spraying, make sure you make up enough paint of the same consistency to get you through the whole model. So I stopped halfway through, made up another batch in the color cup, and you notice it came out. There's some spots where it was a little too heavy, and because I wasn't used to the flow rate, because I'd already trained my mind in the first couple passes to what to expect. So I end up with a heavy blotch on one side of the long hood. So yeah. That's a little tip for everybody tonight.
Yeah, so make up enough prior to, so it's consistent as you're spraying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know that. I know that feeling. I know that. Yeah. Measure twice, cut once, right?
Exactly, Bill.
It's all about the prep work, I'm telling you. Sometimes we get so excited about wanting to do these models, sometimes we jump ahead.
Hey, but you got to be impressed with me. I remembered to mask off the windows this time before we got started.
Yes. Last time you didn't. That's true. Last time you didn't. So, you're improving, Jose.
Yeah. There's the blotch right there. You can see it.
I know what it is. You know what, Joe? If someone comes into your layout and they said, I really like your layout, but that engine with the blotch on it, you
get out. Just get out.
Here's your coat. Have a nice day.
So now we're going to get into our reassembly phase. First thing we need to do is we need to put our trucks back together. This time, like I said, we're trying to keep it a little lighter than normal, so I'm not going to get into putting weathering powders on the trucks or the tank. I'm just going to leave it that nice grimy black. It came out really well.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
From the time you stopped break it to the time you assemble, what was the time between reassembling and letting that paint dry?
Overnight.
Overnight.
Yeah, we finished. This is the next day, the next night.
Okay, so basically you're putting that paint and weathering on. Now, after you do the painting and you do the weathering, do you put a dull coat over it?
No.
No, so you leave it overnight to dry thoroughly.
Yep, I use that light spray as my dull coat to give me some edge for the Bragdon powders.
Right.
So, if you tried to put the Bragdon powders on, here's our ESU Loc Sound board. This is the 73100.
73100?
Yes. And I'm doing a quick test fit, and we're gonna watch this. Last one we had to trim the frame, but this time it just boom drops right in. No problems whatsoever. And that's huge. Next month, I'm not going to dwell on it tonight. Next month, we're going to do a side-by-side on all three of these units, and we're going to talk about it because I think it needs to be discussed. I think we need to have to talk about this.
This is going to be the talk?
Yeah, the talk, Bill. You and me are going to have the talk.
Okay. All right.
Hopefully everyone out there can, we can chime in and have a good conversation with everyone about this because I think it's pretty big.
Just want to put that on my notepad so I know and mark it on the calendar. The talk with Joe Desmond.
So right now we're getting that board all fitted up. We're tightening up the chassis. My big fat hand's in the way. Now, last couple of units I've learned the hard way is don't over tighten these screws because then you're going to pinch that frame together and it's going to bind. The 3858 we did last time, I was getting a little binding, so I had to go back in and back them screws out. So, and if you over tighten them again, you're going to strip those little plastic nuts out. So just a little bit. It doesn't need to be over Wookie. It doesn't need to be Wookie tight. This time around, I've done something different. We went with a Digitrax oval speaker instead of the Zemo speaker that I used last time. These speakers, I wanted to test how they sound. We had an oval speaker on the first unit we did with the Digitrax board, but the sound really isn't that great. And I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag. What you're gonna find out later is it's not the speaker. The speaker's great. It's a great little speaker. It fits. It's oval. It's less than 10 millimeters, so it fits right on top. It's low enough. It's got its own speaker box. I kind of see I'm tucking it underneath the board there. So we don't really have to worry about it getting in the way of the shell. And the sound quality is really good. So I like these for these little 4-axle jobs because I don't have to worry about having enough room on the tail end to put that little square Zemo speaker on the back.
What was the cost of that?
They were like $10.
$10.
I went to what's the name of the website? Streamline Back Shops. I ordered 5 of them right off the webpage. I got them all in one shot.
Streamline.
So what I did here is I put a little dots of flux in there to get that on the board, and then I was putting some solder down to get our speaker wires in. Got to have some flux in there, or else the solder is not going to attach to that board. And I tinned the wires a little bit, and this is my iron. I got to get a different tip for this. The tip is a little too fat. Probably should have used like one of them micro tips because it's very tight in there. So as you can see, I had too much coffee that day. I'm shaking like a leaf. So there we go. Our speaker is attached. The one point I missed, I want to back up to is if you notice the speaker, I coated the backside with Capcom tape because it is going to be coming in contact with the bottom of that board. So you don't want it to do that because you'll short that board. Very important step. So I just put a layer of Capcom tape on there and then slid it underneath, and it works perfectly. All right, so now this is our initial test. Let's listen. This, I don't know what they got loaded in here, a stock. It sounds like some kind of little diesel motor car with a German air horn or something silly like that. So now we're going to get into our programming phase. Let's stop right here. So this programming, this is done with the Loc-Sound programmer. And this is key because you need the programmer to talk to the ESU boards. Now, I've indicated in the past that it's pricey. I'm not going to lie. It's $146. But if you're going to be doing this, I'm sorry?
The program?
It's all in one box that you get from ESU. It has a computer interface module that connects to the layout, and it allows the computer to talk to the programming track.
Uh-huh.
And there's a lot of great functions with this thing. You know, it allows you to talk to other command stations as well. It allows you, the big thing is with this ESU stuff, is allows you to update the firmware in these boards. These boards from ESU, they're becoming so advanced that they have firmware. Just like you would update the firmware in your computer or your printer or something like that, you can do that with these. And you need that programmer to do this. The other thing that this program allows you to do is to go to their website. And on their website, they have a plethora of already made sound files on anything and everything you can think of. A GP7 from the Pennsylvania Railroad and all the way up to the brand new SD70 Ace or whatever. They have all these different sound files and they're custom recorded, high definition. I think they said it's a 32-bit sound. And all you got to do is, so you have your Loc-Sound programmer. And now what I'm doing is I'm on their website and I'm finding the sound profile that I need to put onto the decoder. Questions? My soldering tips, all my soldering equipment I got from DigiKey. But I know there's a bunch of different manufacturers, different websites. I think there's also Gemco. They're out of California, and I know DigiKey's out of Minnesota. Yeah, I have a Weller, and so I used Weller tips. And that was the one thing I recommended you buy whatever tip for whatever iron you have. Sorry. Anything else?
John is talking behind the scenes here, being the true director.
I keep forgetting that. Anything else?
No questions as of yet. No. I think this is a pretty good website. I mean, software that you got here to put this, so you can program any sound you want into this.
Correct. And then if you look at the sound file I have up on the screen, the sound file I'm doing is for the EMD 645E3 class, and there's like a bunch of different locomotives that it's used in. But it also gets more specific where you can use horn specifics to your prototype. So I can get the Leslie RS3L, and there's also different bells that are specific to your prototype. I use the steel bell with the mechanical or with the air actuator. Right. So, you know, it allows you to do that. So what you have to do now is if you go to the website and you hit download, it takes 30 minutes to download these sound files. So be aware of that. Yeah. So my locomotive was sitting down here for 30 minutes uploading all the software.
So that entails the 21 hours that it took to do all this.
There's half hour right there.
There it is. There it is.
So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bill.
No. Sam Cool 88844 lowercase s3 says, "Hey guys." That's what we got so far.
Hello. All right. Let's go ahead and roll it. So I'm going through my program file and I'm trying to figure out. So what you have to do is you select your file, you hit download, and then it downloads through your web browser. And then what happens is it'll bring you to the Loc Programmer window. It automatically opens it up on your computer. So as soon as I figure out what I'm doing here, there it is. So I just hit open.
How long did it take you to get used to the software?
I'm sorry, Bill?
How long did it take you to get acclimated to the software?
I'm still getting acclimated. Yeah. This is only the second ESU product I've done. So but once you get, as you can see from the screen, it's very user-friendly. I just gotta remember the process of which comes first and which comes second. Like here, I'm trying to debate whether I should change the CDs now to make them the Conrail specific sounds, or if I should download the software into the Locomotive and then change the CVs later. Right. So what I end up doing is download the software now. Right. Then later off camera, what you're not going to see is I go back and I change the CVs. There's a mathematic formula depending on what horn you want, what prime mover, and what bell. You add up the three total, and you put that into CV48, and that changes your sound files to your prototype specific.
Nathan DeLay wants to know, Joe, do you have a railroad right next to your house?
No, I do not. Well, I shouldn't say it, about 3 miles away. The Conrail's shared assets, Mount Holly Industrial. All right, so now we are going to install the shell now because we've done our programming. Everything's all buttoned up, so I want to get this shell on. So you notice that speaker was a little tinny, not a lot of sound behind it. So now, listen to it now. Are we listening to them?
Yeah, it's a big difference. I mean, the sound quality coming over the video here isn't that good, but you can definitely tell the difference of the.
Yeah, it's got a little more attenuation, a little more bass to it instead of that just rattly noise.
Right, right.
And the other thing is when I upgraded what I'm demonstrating here in a minute is I've upgraded to the full throttle firmware.
Right.
And that gives you the drive hold feature. And what happens with that is you can lock the speed constant and crank your throttle up to run that prime mover up to make it sound like you're pulling a heavy load.
Right, right. Sam Cool 8480. I'm sorry, Sam. 844S3. Does everything in this video transfer over to HO scale? Is it the same concept?
Well, all ESU products, from what I know, are the same basic operation and same process of uploading all the software and stuff. You know, on that web page, all I did was I clicked on download the in-scale version, but right above me was download the HO scale version. So the process was exactly the same for all ESU, regardless of scale. The drop-in board that we're doing here, this is an in-scale specific product because let's pause the video right here. Because if you look at most of your HO scale locomotives, you have your 6-pin plugs. So then you're going to go with an ESU board that has a plug. You just pull out that jumper and you put that plug right in and then mount it inside. So no, this part of the process is not going to be the same. That part of the process is not going to be the same. But you know, my weathering techniques can be used for any any scale. So, you know, in that regards, yeah, that stuff can be used for HL, but the actual installation of the board, no, this is an in scale.
Yeah, obviously it would be different than you know, than with N scale. You know, using it with HO scale would absolutely be a little different. But I don't think it would be that much radical in terms of installing.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I mean, this board is a complete drop-in board. There was no modifications that need to be made.
Right, right.
And I've seen some videos of the HO scale stuff. I haven't actually done one myself, but you know, there's not much modifications to be done either.
Right.
You guys have it made in my book.
Nathan DeLay says that locomotive looks amazing.
We're not done yet, Nathan. Sit tight.
There we go.
Anything else there, Bill?
No, nothing as of right now. No.
All right. Let's go ahead and roll our video. So I'm going to come in here with some weathering powders, Bragdon weathering powders. The first one I'm using is a dirt, and I'm going to just move it around. And the big thing I'm using this for is to kind of blend in them grates and make them more uniform. I'm also going to use that to kind of hide my my splotch that I did on the side there.
Always good to make room for your mistakes and hide them.
Correct. Yeah, that's why I like the weathering powders. You can go back and touch up your the stuff that doesn't look that good. So, again, I'm not going to mess with the trucks or the fuel tank on this. I really kind of adopted this soft brush for doing the powders. It kind of makes a different look and makes it look softer and more blended. Whereas if I use that, you'll see when I do the exhaust soot, I use that short brush and I grind it in to give it a more, you know, harsh effect. And I'm just blowing off my excess. Some people have recommended that I start saving my excess powder. So that's what I'm doing. I'm keeping it on the plate.
Yeah, I was just going to say the last time it was all done on the mat. Now it seems to be done on the paper plate.
Yeah, pause it right there, Andy. So, so now we're done. That was how this project went so well, so fast, because there really wasn't that much to do. You know, the board just popped right in, we programmed, and we're good to go. So now we're just going to go ahead and let the video go. We'll be quiet. We'll let you guys listen to it and look at the pictures, and we'll come back and talk. Just hitting up those final spots that I saw when I turned the locomotive.
We've run into some technical difficulties. Oh, that was the end of it. Okay.
Yep. All right.
It's a great sounding logo, says Sam Cool 84, 844S3. Why not 844? It's hard to pronounce. Sam Cool. Sam, sorry about that. Yeah, just call him Sam Cool. Sorry about that, buddy. My bad. But I got to tell you, Joe, each and every time we've done one of these, that you've done one of these, it's you know, the difference in the weathering technique, and you know, and the sound decoders, it all just seems to flow together, and it really comes out. These final pictures of them really enhance the locomotive. You know, really, it's really nice. It really is, and it just blends so nice into the layout and the operation of the layout itself. You know.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Bill. You know, the first thing. You know, you get into within scale, you know, have to look at your distance factor. You know, well, we're looking at average viewing distance here of maybe 2 or 3 feet. So what does that mean? You know, I don't really see the need for me to get in there, start ripping off grab irons and putting on raised grab irons and really getting tearing into the locomotive for the 2 foot factor. Are you really going to notice those details?
Right.
So, you know, that's a big thing. You know, I'm not going to say I'm not going to do it, because I'm sure I'm going to have a few showpieces that I'm going to want to put, you know, for, you know, nice photos and stuff. But for right now, to get this layout up and running, I'm just going with these techniques right out of the box to get really good looking locomotives going. And the other thing now is I really want all sound. I want everything to be sound. And up until this board came out, I really didn't think it was going to happen. Because I was faltering around with the sound tracks wired in decoders and trying to pack all that junk into these little chassis. And, you know, because they are, even a 6-axle locomotive, it's small. You know, looking at 10 millimeters wide, and you got to pack all that stuff in there. Plus, you want to have a good capacitance rating. And, you know, we'll talk about it next month. But the Digitrax board, I think that's one of their Achilles heels. They don't have enough capacitance. And what that is a capacitor to hold stored energy. So when you hit them dead spots, and, you know, there's some programming faults with that board too. So, and now with this board and this setup here, I was dancing down here. I was like a little kid in a candy shop. It runs phenomenal. It sounds great, and it looks pretty damn good, I think.
Yeah, so, Vincent. No, it does. I have a question, but Vincent Sanders says, "Nice work. I have one. I will try." Ron's trains and things. He says, "I don't super detail all my end scale locals either, but yes, it is noticeable when you do it." And Sam Cool said, "I can just call him Sam Cool if it's easier for me." Yes, Sam, it is. It's much easier for me. In fact, I'm going to call you Sam. Because that just became a whole lot easier for me. But let me ask you a question, Joe, in regards to that software you bought. You said it was about $146, right?
Yes, I got it from it was from modeltrainstuff.com, and it was on sale. So I don't know what the non-sale price is. Okay,
so you paid $146. Now you can using that software, you can only download those sounds into an ESU.
An ESU product.
Right.
Anything in their product line. And also I've been reading into it because now let's not forget this. ESU really came out of Europe. They've been over in Germany and stuff for a long, long time.
That is correct.
Really in the last few years, they're coming into the United States. So I'm learning more as the more I get into the ESU products. And they apparently have their own command station control system. They have this phenomenal, looks like a mini laptop computer. It's got all these digital screens on it and stuff. It's crazy. And you need that. It's very similar to the Digitrax PR3. The PR3 is that little box that you buy for $60, allows your Digitrax system to talk to your computer. It's the same thing. So really, I have two cross connects now. I have the Digitrax and I have the ESU Lokesound. Right. So it has a lot more abilities than what I'm using it for. So $146 may seem like a lot, but if you're into the ESU products and you use all their command stations and stuff, you're going to make your money's back real quick.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. The cost factor, will it in itself will pay itself back over time when in doing it yourself and purchasing the ESU components that go into your engines?
Yeah, I think I've paid for it already now. I've done 2 locomotives. Let's say if I had gone out and had somebody else do those locomotives for me, I've already paid for that and the cost of doing it. So, yeah, totally worth it, I think.
Right. Howie Mann wants to know, Joe, what color powders do you use?
Whatever strikes my fancy that day. You know, for this project, we use the Bragdon powders. I use the black soot, and then there was like the in between. It goes black soot, then there's a grayish color, then it goes to a gray brown before you get to the earth tone. So I use that gray brown in the middle. So we use the soot and the gray brown. That's all I really use for that locomotive, and the color of that mud overspray.
Yeah, Low Archer. Joe, all you need now to go with that GP40-2 is a certain GP30A-2.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I got to go back. I forgot something. This is if you noticed in the photos, the headlight. So let's talk about the headlight because I kind of overlooked it in the video we were talking and I forgot. I had problems with the previous locomotive with the light shield, the light block that goes back in to block out that LED. And, you know, it was kind of bothering me. So I started to play around with this locomotive and I kind of cut the light shield so that only the side windows were covered. And then I took some black paint and I blacked in the window, the front windshield. So it wasn't shining out through the windshield. The problem is somehow it didn't align properly, so we don't got a good headlight on this locomotive. And again, I skipped the rear headlight. Next time we do a locomotive, not April, but when we come into May, I promise you we're going to do headlights because it's driving me bananas that I keep messing this up, and I got 2 locomotives that don't have good headlights. I mean, no, let me take that back. The 6858 has good headlight. It's just I got to blacken out the windows because it keeps shining through the windows. But this one doesn't. The headlight's not too great. So next time I'm going to get some LEDs and we're gonna wire them into the board that way.
Right.
So, that's how I'm going to address that headlight issue.
Bill Fusion Enterprise has a question. He says, my question is about loading sound files. Can you make your own custom sound files? I.e., replace a train horn with, say, a car horn.
I don't know how to do it, but I know people out there who said it can be done. I was listening to Modeler's Life podcast, and they had Shane Mason on, who does a lot of this stuff. And his running joke was, yeah, if you want the horn to sound like a toilet flushing, I can do it. So it can be done. You can, with any of these sound programs. If you get the stuff that you need to talk to the locomotive, you can change the sound files and make your own custom sound files.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to tell you that Brakeman 17 Shane, he's done some really nice sound files. He took one locomotive and he made his own complete sound file. You hear the engineer open the cab door. You hear him open the panel, flip the switches. And then he goes out, opens the side panel, starts the diesel. Yeah, and comes back in. So, yeah, you can do custom sound files with ESU.
Yep.
Bill Fusion Enterprise says, cool, I'd like to replace the bell with the James Brown car alarm. Get on the good foot. Get on the good foot. I hear you, brother. I got a whole James Brown collection, man. He's my man. He's the original. He's the original OG, baby. But yeah, no, Shane is good. Shane did a Baltimore and Ohio diesel engine for me, and he put a sound thing in, and it's really it's good. It's really eclectic, and it's got an unusual sound to it, but it's pretty good. Brian W. Atlas is releasing a GP38-2 with ESU sound. Pre-order price was $159 through BLW and the scale.
I'm gonna say we're not gonna talk about that now. We'll talk about it next month.
Okay.
That's part of the big topic that we're gonna discuss next month.
There we go. Look at this, Brian. You right there. Bill Fusion Enterprise, instead of ding, 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 it's ow, ow, ow. Put on the good foot. It's a man's world. Oh, and then we can download it with what's his name? Barry White. Okay, I'm sorry, buddy. I'm pronouncing this all wrong. I know it. Alkea 000. I just bought an ESU Loke to put in an EMD set. Made my own station announcement, but a 8-bit audio is a bit hissy. Yeah.
Yeah. We're doing 32-bit now with the ESU. This board here, and I think the Digitrax is running at a 16-bit. I believe. Don't quote me. I gotta look at the manual.
I have to tell you that when I started back in 1982, which granted is it may seem eons for some people, but it's not. And I remember when I built my first layout downstairs in the basement. It was a dog bone, and with the block system and the toggle switches, so the train could go from one block to another without it, and running it, east to west, one going east, the other going west, and and stuff like that. And I remember this came up while we were building. Me and a couple of guys from the club were building, building this layout. The discussion of this, wireless and, without having to use your a power pack. Because I down in my first layout, I had maybe about 5-6 power packs, running stuff, running the engines, running the lights, using it for the switches and everything. And this whole system was new. And I'll never forget the discussion we had downstairs in regards to this. And it was like some guys were naysayers. They were like, oh, we'll never catch on and we'll never do this. And, the other part of the crew was like saying, yeah, it sounds pretty interesting. I'd like to see what it looked like. And then when I got out, I got out of the hobby in about 86, 87. I was out until I retired back in 2010. And then when I got back into it, I just couldn't believe at that time in 2010, what was out there. I went and bought the Bachman, wireless, with the set it up, and it was plug and play. And then then you realize, you say, wait a minute, this is all right, but I want something better. And then I researched it with Digitrax NCE, and I decided on NCE. But I can tell you that this just makes running the trains a whole lot more enjoyable and entertaining. And it's always nice when you get somebody who comes in who's not really a real model railroad enthusiast or into the hobby itself, and they'll come in and then you turn the system on and they're like, is that train actually like building up air? And yeah. And they're like, and it's actually releasing its brakes. I said, yeah. And they're like, that's so cool, and it can be applied to other parts of the hobby, other hobbies as well. And you can see it making its thing. But I think it's such what a great innovation this is in the hobby itself.
And what it is as we're getting more, as years go by here now, within the last 5 years, we're getting more prototypical operations too. That's the key. This ESU board. It's got back EMF on it. So what that means is when there's no load on this locomotive, if I ramp it up to like notch 6 and then I cut it back to 0, the thing keeps coasting. And you got to hit the brakes, the F10 button to brake it, to stop it, or it'll coast halfway around the layout. You know, so, and that's all part of the programming into the board. So these manufacturers are starting to respond to us as model railroaders saying we want more realistic operations.
Well, I remember on my MRC Power Pack, I remember when they put the momentum braking on.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like, you know, like, oh, watch this. And then you hold it or you tap it, and then the train would come to a, you know, it would slow itself down. So we thought that was like pretty cool back then.
Yeah.
Sam Cool says DCC changed the modeling world. I wouldn't be able to live without it. Low Arch, I'm not sure that the Select Drive Micro drop in can have custom file uploaded. I know some of the wired versions of the decoders don't allow you that feature, while some do.
Oh, that's interesting, Low Archer. You know what? I'm going to say I don't know. I'll have to do research and get back to everybody, because I don't know anything about the custom uploads, especially with this new direct drop-in.
Okay, sorry, buddy, I'm pronouncing this wrong. I know it. Oops, just realized I said EMD, LOL. I meant EMU, sorry, Kato Narita Express. Select Low Arch, it says Select Micro versus Loc Sound V4, for instance.
Yes, I know what he's talking about. The Select Micro is the board that we use tonight, and the Loc Sound V4 is the wired-in version of it's a little bit bigger wires. You got to wire it in. So
right. AK Kai 000 selects / direct micro can't use custom sound. He says he tried.
There's the answer right there.
And Eric Hall is in the crew room. Hello guys, he says. Hello, Eric Hall. But it absolutely has changed the complexion of this hobby. And Sam Cool wants to know, do you have any steam locos?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Your layout is basically, if anybody's interested, Joe has a YouTube channel, and it's called Central Jersey Conrail in N scale. If you guys would like to check that out. Like I said, it's Central Jersey Conrail in N scale. He just recently did 2 videos on scrap loads, I believe.
Yeah, actually, oh, it's on the other side of layout. Yeah, I did scrap loads and I did sand loads. Sand loads.
IKG. Thank you. IKG. I will now remember that. IKG. Us New Yorkers, you know, we don't know how to talk that well. You know what I mean? IKG. We kind of messed everything up. Engine sounds great, Joe. I really enjoyed the throttle hold feature while switching. Low Archer.
Oh, Low Archer. That is revolutionary. I'm telling you, that drive hold feature is phenomenal. You know, you get them instances where you start rolling with a heavy cut of cars, you know, 15, 20 cars on a Jeep 40 like this. You're going to have to ramp it up to a notch 5 or notch 6 to get it rolling, and then he's going to want to cut it back. So with the drive hold feature, it allows you to do that. You hit the F9 button, it locks in that, so you get the locomotive creeping at the speed you want. You hit the F9, it locks in that constant speed, and then you use your throttle to control the prime mover sound and ramp it up. So yeah, it's awesome. It makes running trains down here really cool. I have to say, it's so much fun.
Eric Hall, IMRRO, COM, NCE Pro with consisting is the world changer. Selecting road numbers from either unit in the consist was a huge game changer. Craig Snyder, Joe, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, you're welcome, Craig. It was enjoyable. I liked it.
Nathan,
does Conrail have steam locomotives? No, never did. So,
yeah, I know that.
Oh, okay. I'm just kind of helping you out here. I can see it up. I set my
No. When you're answering the question, I'm thinking to myself, Conrail never had steam. It wasn't. They weren't around.
No, yeah. So Conrail came into existence after 1976, and we had no steam then, because mainline steam, I think we're saying the drop dead date was what, 1959 was when Westcott photographed the Norfolk Western, the last run. Was that right?
Yeah, I believe you're right.
So
Dan Poole says you're missing out on the steam life, man. Once you have one, you want them all of them.
Well, I'm not saying I'm not going to get one, because I want to do some throwback shots here. There was some famous pictures that were taken in Englishtown, which is on the other side of the peninsula from where we're sitting here, and it was the last steam run on the Freehold branch, and they ran a K4 Pacific down through Englishtown. There's a lot of pictures. If you Google search steam in Englishtown or Pennsylvania Railroad steam Englishtown, you'll see the pictures pop up. So I want to do a K4 so I can do some throwback, pictures and videos and stuff. So yeah, I'm not saying no to steam. It eventually will happen. I want to get operations diesel ops up and running for the op sessions. Then I'll focus on the steam locomotive.
Rock Island 652, greetings from Amtrak number 3. Sound makes more ops in small spaces by slowing down operations. That's true.
Yes.
K-I-K-G. How you like that, bro? Drive hold is awesome, but I'm contemplating mapping the coast function to power down and still control speed and brakes.
Interesting.
Yeah. Rock Island 652, mainline steam in CR land ended by Conrail land, ended by 1957, 58. I was 2 years old then. Hour 7. We're into this in hour 7. We're having so much fun. We don't know what to do. Let's make some bologna sandwiches and hang out. Northern Star Railroad lines. Dwight. Hey, Dwight, what's up? Joe, have you at least a tourist train with one steamer on your way? Not yet.
I'm saying no, just not yet.
Everybody, see, on my layout, Joe, I can't do it. South Brooklyn Railroad is designed in the nitty-gritty 70s, 75, when the city was like at its worst.
Yeah.
I mean, it was when Gerald Ford said to the city to drop dead. You couldn't do anything, and you couldn't get a job. You couldn't even, if I shot a shotgun off in the middle of Times Square, I couldn't even get arrested back then. That's how great it was. Nathan DeLay wants to know, how did you get interested in Conrail, Joe?
So Conrail, I really got interested in Conrail when the first locomotive I bought on my own was a Model Power, in-scale Model Power Alco Century 420. I got that from Allied Hobbies. And I didn't really know anything about it because I think I was maybe about 7 or 8. And then my mom, when I was on my 10th Christmas, my 10 years old, she gave me this book set. And one of it had a chapter in it in the back that said it was all about Conrail. And I read about it. And the story was, to me, was just like, wow, it's an American dream. It's an American story. So I was just like, I really fell in love with Conrail. And here we are now.
Yeah,
so.
There was a gentleman in the club, the Staten Island Model Railroaders Club. He was a conductor for Conrail, and I had an opportunity to go to Oak Island.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
And, watch them do the hump yard and work out, and the trains and all the boxcars and everything. Mm-hmm. So it was really cool. I like Span done and deep fried and glazed with teriyaki. John says that Eric, he likes his Spam in a smoker. You know what Spam stands for? SPAM. Some people are missing. Think about that for a minute. Yeah, baby. Spam. Some people are missing. Hey. IKG Joe, the huge debate: metal or plastic wheels?
Freight cars?
Yeah,
Metal.
I guess
Metal.
Metal. Gotta go with metal, bro.
I started converting over. I'm about halfway through the fleet, going from microtrains, trucks, and couplers, and I'm putting in Fox Valley model wheels on them, and it runs better, I think.
I just recently got to some box cars that still had the plastic wheels, on them, and I was running them around the layout for a while. And I took them. I when we had that snowstorm, I decided to do some maintenance, and I took about 6 of those cars off, and I changed out the wheels. You got to see how much gunk was on those plastic wheels.
Yeah, well, everything I've read also says, the metal wheels will keep your layout cleaner.
Yes.
The plastic wheels are just a purveyor of dirt and just helps spread the dirt everywhere. So, with the metal wheels and the cleaning cars that I use, it helps keep the whole layout much cleaner.
Yeah. Sam Cool says Spam and spray cheese sandwich. Spray cheese sandwich, bro, man. Eric Hall, the Spam, the meat of Hawaii.
Oh gosh, when I was stationed in Hawaii, you couldn't get a Hawaiian plate that wasn't made with Spam.
Oof.
Oh.
Northern Star Railroad lines, Dwight. There's a Spam museum in southern Minnesota. There you go, folks. You hear it here first on YouTube Model Builders on the 28th of March. Everybody, this July, Minnesota, Spam magazine, Spam museum. Rock Island 652, no plastic wheels, please. Filth and rolling issues. Nay, nay. Craig Snyder, can't find Fox wheels in 33-inch.
They have them. I was just on check model train stuff there, Craig. I thought I just saw them on their webpage. They had a bunch of them in stock, I think.
Okay. So
unless somebody went and bought them all since then.
So we're really getting to the end of this now, because now we're getting into sandwiches and Spam, and so I think we're gonna call it for tonight. And guys, Joe, again, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh man, it was awesome. Yeah, I love doing the project. I love doing the show with you guys. It's so much fun. And actually, even though our comments, I'm looking up at the comments popping up, they kind of went to Spam, but it was fun. It's fun. And yeah, I enjoyed it, and I can't wait till next month. We're gonna have we'll have a sit down discussion, and I want a lot of commentary back and forth, and I want to know what everybody else thinks of all this work. So
yeah, absolutely.
Before you cut us out, I want to say hello to my nieces and nephews in Seattle, Mike, Olivia, and their friend Brady, because they watch the show every month.
Do they? What's their name?
Michael, Olivia, and their friend Brady.
Michael, Olivia, and Brady.
Yeah, they sit down and they don't watch it live because it's too late for them for them, but they sit down and watch it in rerun. So
good for them. Well, hey, Mike, Olivia, and your friend Brady, good to have you aboard. Thank you so much.
Maybe some burgeoning model railroaders there.
Absolutely. Do one last question. Nathan DeLay wants to know, how far is your layout complete?
I'm going to say we're at the halfway point. All the major components are in and running, and we have one little section to do out in the family room. That's like a little, it's going to be a 2-foot by 5-foot little shelf. And looking at starting after the next op session in May, I'm looking at starting scenery. We're going to start over in Sayreville, doing all the industries over there, and work down the line. So I'm going to say this is definitely the halfway point.
Good. Albert Mason says, "What's up, everybody? I feel a good job on the trees last night. Appreciate the lesson." And okay, there we go. So, I want to do, John, too. I want to give a special I want to give a special shout out to Dan Ward. If you guys have been noticing in the beginning, we've changed over our placket cards, intro cards to a different font and a different color. And that's from Dan Ward. Dan Ward has made those up with the assistance of John, helping him. And I just want to give a shout out to Dan for doing that. It was greatly appreciated, Dan. It really spiced up and brightened up the intro for us, and I greatly appreciate your input on there. And Joe, once again, thank you so much, and to Andy for his due diligence on the video thing there, doing the video for us and getting it run out, and to John, director extraordinaire, and what he does best behind the scenes. You guys, I know you think this is like, you guys who are starting your own live thing on Sparky and then Vinny, the things you're running into, and you're a one-man operation, guys, and I get that, but we're doing this as a team effort. There's a lot of effort that goes in this, and you know how hard it is. So these guys behind the scenes, Andy and John, when they do this show every week, week in and week out, it is truly a labor of love and a labor of what they do for not two model builders, but for the community. So thank you guys for that. And thank you guys out there watching, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, because without you, we just speak into open air. There'd be nobody there. So remember, tomorrow night on the 29th is Johnny's Model Train Talk show. That's at 9 p.m. Central Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then April 4th, we are back with Chris Healy in the Adreno show. And then April 10th is the Fine Scale show with Andy, Ralph, and Miles. We're already into April.
Yeah. Oh, flying by.
Hey, and don't forget, tomorrow, the 29th, I said it in the beginning, I'm going to say it again. Take me out to the ball game. Opening day in the Major League Baseball. Let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets.
You take care, people out there. Have a great day. Thank you. God bless. And we'll see you guys on the radio. Bye-bye.